distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
And it's gone! A slammer for Nolan Arenado!
Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Hello again, everybody. Wait, that's not Tom. Welcome in, guys. Kevin Wheeler in for Tom Ackerman. Tom is traveling today, so he just landed in Fort Lauderdale, making his way to Jupiter, so he's going to be a big part of our coverage for the rest of Cardinals spring training, broadcasting games for us on the stream. I'm sure helping out on the TV side, and of course, popping in on all of our shows and providing us all kinds of cool interviews and things. So Tom is on the road. Matt Pauley is on his way back. Joe Pott is still dancing. I think he's dancing. I texted him last night because obviously the first team to make the NCAA tournament this year. It's a great place for us to start, by the way. March 9th, the first NCAA tournament team this year is SIUE, man. Congratulations. I texted Joe last night. I'm like, Joe, polish up those dancing shoes, buddy. And he's like, you got it. So he's probably dancing right now. But that's one of the cool stories, man. This time of year is awesome. I know Tom loves this time of year. We all do. Because you've got the excitement of college basketball and all of these seasons coming to a close. We've got Arch Madness coming to a close today with a championship game between Bradley and Drake. We've got the big conference tournament starting up this week. We'll talk a bit about that with Josh Schertz here in a little bit. With the Billikens going into the A10 tournament, Mizzou's going to be the number 7 seed in the SEC tournament. So, obviously a fun time in that regard. Where now, guys, today's the 9th. On the 27th. It's opening day. So we're 18 days away from Cardinals opening day against the Minnesota Twins. So we're a little bit more than 2 weeks. I mean, I think they have like 16 games left counting today in Grapefruit League action. So yeah, it doesn't get a lot better. And look, hopefully it wasn't great last night, and it's a little tough now with Colton Parayko out, and we'll talk some Blues later on. Hopefully they can make it interesting here for the rest of the regular season. They've played well here lately. I know they lost last night in overtime, but you got the point. They've got 5 points out of 8 on the first 4 games of this road trip. They got a couple more, Pittsburgh and Minnesota, to wrap up the road trip before they come back home. So, there may be some fun there, although without Colton Parayko, it's going to be a whole lot tougher. It's just been that kind of year. It's just been every time you feel like momentum has built up and the team is starting to make a run, it just kind of comes back downhill. And I don't know, just not all that different from the last couple of years in total, but some good stuff to look at. And I think some really good play since Jim Montgomery took over. It's just you're still kind of in that back and forth mode, and hopefully they can get out of that and, just be consistent the rest of the way. It's not going to be super easy, but they do have, an easier path to reach the postseason, or at least an easier remaining schedule. Compared to some of their competitors in the Western Conference for that 8th spot. So there's something to at least consider there. Doesn't necessarily mean it's likely, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. But obviously, a lot can change between now and the end of the regular season. The one thing that's not going to change is you're not going to see Colton Parayko back there during that time, and that's pretty rough. All right, so here on Sports on a Sunday morning, we broadcast obviously live from the Stifel Sports Theater studio. It's a theater, you guys. It's a theater. The Stifel Sports Studio, and we got a lot to do. Bernie Miklasz is going to join me in a few minutes. Always love talking to Bern. We've been doing a lot on the Gas House Gang lately, and if you've been missing those, stop it. It's not hard, man. It's every day at noon, live, right here where you're watching all of us now. So if you're watching Sports on a Sunday morning, and I can see, we got numbers on you, I can see that you're doing it. Don't miss the Gas House Gang at noon on weekdays, and of course, if you miss that live, you'll be able to pick it up on a podcast anywhere you want to, just like you can with this show. So Bernie's going to join me at 10:15. We'll mix it up a little bit on a few different topics there, probably some college basketball, certainly a little bit of Cardinals. We'll talk to Josh Schertz at 10:30. Lutz Pfannenstiel is going to join us next hour around 11:15, and then we got Mo. So Mo will be around 11:30. I'll grill Mo. I'm going to put his feet to the fire, and then he'll mock me because that's what he'll do. No, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't talked to Mo on the radio in a long time. It's been a bit. It's, scheduling is weird, like when you're doing afternoons on weekdays, that's kind of when they're at work, they're kind of at the ballpark or they're coming off the field, and we don't get that many opportunities to get front office dudes on the Dave Glover show. It just doesn't work out very well. Although we've had Ollie, and we certainly get our chances to talk to Rick Horton and the guys on a regular basis, but looking forward to talking to Mo today too. And then right after we're done with Sports on a Sunday morning, man, you got Cardinals baseball, Cardinals and the Yankees. It's a it's a pretty opening day-ish lineup for the Cardinals today. The one exception being Jordan Walker's not in there. He's still recovering from that minor knee injury. But pretty much everybody else looks like somebody that'll be in the opening day lineup, right? You got Mason Wynn, Lars Nootbaar, Wilson Contreras. Victor Scott would be the guy that's kind of in that Jordan Walker spot. But, Brendan Donovan's in left. Nolan Gorman's at second base. Alec Burleson's playing is in the DH spot today. So you've got what looks like something similar to an opening day lineup today. So it's going to be a lot of fun in front of Andre Palante. The Yankees did not bring their A-team. Of course, most of the Yankees A-team is out. Garrett Cole's got an elbow problem now, and who knows? He said he's worried that it's serious. He missed more than half the year last year with a nerve problem in his elbow, and now he's getting second opinions. And when you're getting second opinions, that means you didn't like the first opinion. I'm just going to go on a limb and make that point. If you're getting second opinions, it means you didn't like the first one. But Garrett Cole is out. Giancarlo Stanton may be out for a while. He's got elbow problems. He calls them serious elbow problems. Apparently, it's a tennis elbow. He says it's related to changing his bat last year, but I've never heard of that before. But then again, guys are doing things now with bats that we didn't used to do. So maybe it is more of a thing than you think of. So the Yankees are banged up. They're not sending their full regular squad today. They got a few regulars that'll be in there against the Cardinals. So that'll be coming up at 12:05 after sports on a Sunday morning. We got Bernie Miklasz joining us next here on KMOX.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need a law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, Onder Law has been winning for St. Louis. With over $5 billion in negotiated settlements and over $300 million in verdicts, Onder wins. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row, Onder wins. Whether it's settlements, verdicts, or awards, Onder wins. If you've been hurt in a car accident, trucking accident, or hurt on the job, Onder Law will get you the money you deserve. At Onder Law, winning is what we do. So when the stakes are high, Onder wins. Call us today for a free consultation. We don't get paid unless we win for you. Dial 314 or 6189 million. That's 314 or 6189, then all zeros. Or visit us online at onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Schedule your free tree inspection from Gamma Tree Experts now. I'm Tim Gamma. Our certified arborist and horticulturist are ready to meet you in preparation of the coming season. Winter is always hard on a lot of trees here in St. Louis. If you have a tree that you're really concerned about, let us come take a look at it for free. I'm Tim Gamma. Give me a call at 725-6159. That's 314-725.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
This is the last year of the last 4 years, if that makes any sense to you, of these ridiculous mandates, and I can assure you these mandates did nothing to lower your bills, save you money. Okay, I don't want to get into that. So as of right now, I still have the stuff that works perfectly for all of us homeowners. Prices are absolutely, without a question, the worst I've ever seen across the board. But this is the best time this month to still get good pricing on great, efficient equipment that will save your money by simply replacing your old, inefficient equipment. Plus, 0% for 60 months. No interest. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The easiest of numbers, and there's only one. 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. CaliforniaPsychics.com. God bless.
At California Psychics, we know that doubt can get in the way of your relationship. One moment you're enjoying a romantic date, the next you're thinking,
is this guy right for me? Could I spend my life with someone who has more hair on his feet than on his head?
Then you realize you've been thinking out loud.
Wait, come back,
Thankfully, California Psychics can clear away the dating doubt. Our accurate psychics are available 24/7 to give you all the guidance you need to make the right relationship choices. California Psychics is the psychic service more people trust. That's why we can guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Download the app or connect with us at CaliforniaPsychics.com. Right now, new customers receive 80% off their first reading. I can smell love in the air already. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
The Bernie Miklasz Report is sponsored by Salika Heating and Cooling, an American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
All right, rolling along on sports on a Sunday morning. Kevin Wheeler filling in for Tom Ackerman today. Tom making his way down to Florida. So he arrived just a little bit ago, so he's probably making the drive from the airport in Fort Lauderdale to Jupiter, Florida, a drive that I'm pretty familiar with and remember quite well. It's not too bad from Fort Lauderdale, a little worse when you're coming from Miami International. But Tom's on the scene. He'll be providing all of our in-person coverage here on KMOX for the last couple of weeks of Cardinals spring training. Happy to engage in the regular Sunday conversation. And Bernie and I got a chance to talk a lot. Bernie Miklasz with us here on Sports on a Sunday morning in one of your regular spots. I know you bump around during the show, Bern. Because I do actually listen on Sundays because I like to pop it up there. You know, I sit at home in my office when I wake up. I'll be honest, I don't usually wake up till about 10:30, so I have to catch up as we go, but I find a way to catch up, and I like to listen to sports on a Sunday while I'm setting up I have office time late in the morning. I sit there and read stuff and start to get ready for the week and do all that kind of stuff, and then listen to this show and then watch baseball.
Yeah, that's what I kind of do too. I bounce around. I may not listen to everything live, but I always circle back to it. So looking forward to your discussion with John Mozeliak later. 11:30 or so.
I was joking for the haters. I'm like, I'm going to hold his feet to the fire today. Like, yeah, okay. With 2 weeks in spring training, there's fire at this point. Yeah. Right. Now we'll see what's going on. We'll get an update on Jordan Walker and some of these camp battles that you and I've talked a lot about over the last couple of weeks on the Gas House game, because there's some intriguing stuff. And you know, like I can't wait to hear what he has to say about Victor Scott, who has been, I think, one of the brightest points in camp so far.
Yeah, to me, that's the biggest battle in camp, and it's the most interesting battle in camp, and it's really intriguing too because they have an opportunity if they're going to keep Lars Nootbaar in left. They have an opportunity to, in effect, show the fans that when they talk about, you know, runway and all this other stuff, that a guy that represents what they've been trying to pitch to us, I think more than anybody on the position player side, is Victor Scott. So, you know, sooner or later, you know, we're going to find out if I'm still trying to figure out what exactly they're trying to do for the season. I think they're trying to be respectable. They're trying to win. I get it, but it's kind of it's not a, well, let's really try to win thing. They've returned most of their team from last year, especially on the position player side and the bullpen. But if this was supposed to be about giving young players an opportunity, I would ask, especially based on spring training and late last year, who would warrant an extensive opportunity more than Victor Scott? Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, with the one caveat that, you know, he's got a couple more weeks where he needs to maintain performance and, you know, get to see what happens. Because it's, again, that shouldn't be the be all end all. I think you and I both agree on that. But these last 2 weeks are going to start looking more like real baseball. You know, teams are sending players out every day now. Yeah. You're going to see more and more just regular major leaguers. You're going to see more guys playing 7, 8, 9 innings as opposed to, you know, 4 and dive, 5 and dive. So these next couple of weeks start to look more like the real thing. So if you maintain performance during that time, that certainly couldn't be a negative.
No. And I guess listen, I don't know how the club views this. I mean, do they care like about his stats in the last couple of weeks? Now, listen, if he's really goes off the side and, you know, he's striking out all the time.
Right.
Well, that's a different thing.
Right.
But I mean, you know, you talk about this quite a bit. and the stuff we do all week. A guy can go, 3 for 16, and you say, oh man, he's really in a slump. But it ignores the fact that maybe, and a lot of times this happens, he's hitting the ball extremely hard.
Yeah.
So I don't care if he's 3 for 16, because if he continues to hit the ball that hard, it'll turn. It'll eventually pay off. So I think that's what we all look at. I think the team looks at that too. I mean,
for sure.
Don't look at batting average in spring training. Look at how hard a guy's hitting the ball.
And that info's available, man. You go to baseballsavant.com. You can find it on MLB.com in the box scores. If you just want to go scroll that way, you can see how hard are they hitting the ball with any regularity. You can also track where guys are chasing, which is where your concern, my concern for Mason Wynn comes in, right? Mason had a great rookie year. I'm a big fan. I think he's a phenomenal player, but every young player has things to sharpen up, and his swing decisions need to get sharper.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And I threw a stat on, but I don't remember it now. But it's in one of my many pages and notes here. But, I talked about Friday on Gas House Gang, when Mason Wynn connected with the pitch in the strike zone, his stats were phenomenal.
Right.
But when he swings at pitches outside of the zone and connects with them, no surprise, his stats are terrible. But the problem is he swings at pitches outside the zone way too many times.
Mm-hmm.
Alec Burleson's the same way, and I'm sure Nolan Gorman obviously is the same way. You and I, again, I keep saying you and I, but it's true. We see the game alike in a lot of ways. I'm going to do this today if I have some time. I want to go down every player and look at what they did last year, every hitter, every meaningful position player.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see what they did in terms of how many times they swung at strikes, how many times they swung at balls out of the zone, and what their statistics were in each category.
Yeah.
Because I think we mentioned it the other day. One thing as a team overall, because they're returning players who had 82 of the plate appearances last year. Other than Goldie, but no, the thing as a team they have to do a lot better. It's their strike zone judgment. They gotta quit getting themselves out by swinging at junk off the plate, and they do it a lot.
Yeah, it's a hard thing because pitchers are nastier than ever, which means that skill though is that much more valuable. And when you look at Wynn, Gorman, Walker, Burleson, the key to unlocking what their potential is basically this. That's the key, is to lay off the stuff you can't handle. And if it's called on you, it gets called on you. You just spit on it and let it go. And if it's called a strike, if it's wrong, now you can't challenge it in season. But if it's wrong and they call the strike, well, you can't hit it anyway. So what's the difference? You got to wait till you get the one that you can actually do something with.
Yeah, you still exactly you still have to maintain that discipline, because like you just said, I mean, yeah, you're going to get called strikes that maybe aren't really strikes. But I think actually. The umpires actually we all remember the umpires that stand out as being, utterly incompetent.
Right.
And there's only a few of them really. The overall, like whether the accuracy on balls and strikes, if I don't have the number in front of me, but it's phenomenal and people wouldn't believe it. But it's true.
It's 95%.
Yeah. So,
it's huge.
But what I would say, if people watching, games this year, don't smear the entire group of umpires just because baseball's got a system where you can have several umpires who are absolute clowns and they have a 100% job security. I think most of these guys, overwhelming majority of these guys, are really good at what they do.
All right, Bird, let's change gears. We only have like 3 minutes or so, but I did want to get a little bit of March Madness in, especially with the first tournament bid being locked up this year by SIUE. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I was going to watch it late last night, but I found out what the score was. It was one of those deals, but listen, and they won easily. They won convincingly. So I think I think when a team and it's great that it's a local team. I think when a team gets to March Madness for the first time, it's one of the great things about March Madness.
Yep.
It's you love to see people get in who've never been there before. That gives the tournament charm, if you ask me.
Oh, I totally agree. Look, we know at the end, it's mostly going to be the big boys, right? At the end, sometimes it's not. You'll get the occasional Cinderella that gets to the Final Four. But for the most part, by the time you get to the Elite Eight, Final Four, it's mostly the big boys. But what makes the tournament cool is that everybody gets a shot, every conference at least, right? If you win your conference tournament, you at least get your shot. And I know you can't do that for football. It's impossible. It's just too difficult to manage something that big when you can only play once a week. But when you can play like you can for college basketball, this is why the tournament is so cool.
Yeah, and then looking forward to the Missouri Valley Conference final today.
Yeah,
Bradley and Drake, the number one. Drake's the number one. Bradley's the number two. So you're going to see the two best teams in the conference going at it. And then you turn our attention briefly to Mizzou. They are in an utter defensive collapse. I did a video on it the other day, and it continued again yesterday. They can't stop anybody from scoring. I don't know how you fix all that before you get to the NCAA tournament. I mean, they've lost 4 out of 5. Their defensive metrics over the last 5 games, it's actually 6 games, are absolutely horrendous. Listen, I love this team, but I'm just saying they have gone south. They have gone south in a big, big way defensively.
Well, I mean, like you said, not a lot of time, but we have seen this team swing back and forth pretty wildly, both good and bad. Because about 2 weeks ago, we were all blown away with how good they looked.
Yeah, but again, the defense issues are
Big
not
time.
just like a random thing. I mean,
That's right.
it's been every game they're getting punished on the defensive end, especially 2 shots.
Yep, and they're going to be the number 7 seed in the SEC tournament, playing coming up on Thursday, if I remember that correctly. And obviously, we'll talk Billikens with Josh Schertz here in a few minutes, but they'll be playing on Thursday as well as the number 5 seed in the A10 tournament. Good catching up, Bern. We'll do this again tomorrow on the Gas House Gang at noon, and obviously tomorrow on DGS as well. So it's a lot of Wheeler and Bernie Miklasz talking together on KMOX. I love it.
Well, Wheels, have a great rest of the show and have a great Sunday, man. We'll talk tomorrow.
All right, you do the same, man. We appreciate you. That's Bernie Miklasz here on KMOX, and again, he'll be joining. I think we have all 4 of us tomorrow on the Gas House Gang. I think everybody's going to be there. Tom from Jupiter, Matt's back in town, Bernie and I. And then Bernie will be on with us on DGS in the afternoon tomorrow. All right, coming up next, let's talk some more hoops. The Billikens wrapped up the regular season. It was a wild win. It was a big senior night and a big performance from 6-year senior Gibson Jimerson. That was some kind of hoops game last night. A lot of fun. I know Josh Schertz had to have a lot of fun with it. We'll talk to him coming up next here on Sports on a Sunday morning.
KMOX Weekend at your service, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. For all station contest rules, go to KMOX.com/rules.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and Samuel Barry. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody. Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/gutter to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/gutter for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
Royal Banks of Missouri is your community bank with locations throughout St. Louis, St. Charles, Northeast Missouri, Granite City, and Jerseyville, Illinois. A bank branch is not far away. Royal Banks brings in experienced staff and products and services designed to meet your professional and personal financial needs. Investing in our communities, one client at a time. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC, and equal opportunity lender. Looking for a new home or to refinance your current mortgage? Royal Banks of Missouri wants to be your home buying partner. With a local staff that will guide you through the process, Royal Banks is an experienced mortgage lender that you can trust. There's still time to lock in on a low rate. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, where better service means better banking. Member FDIC and equal opportunity lender.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Swope for three to answer. Bang, he does! The Swope Show!
I've always loved Rammer as a guy. He's been a good friend for a long time. I love Rammer's play-by-play. And of course, I'm a big fan of Earl Austin Jr. as well. Two great guys on the broadcast. And what a hell of a game last night. Happy to have Josh Schertz with us, sponsored by Royal Banks of Missouri. Coach, that was fun, man. I mean, it was wild. It was probably a little hairier than you wanted it to be there for a while. But as a fan watching at home, that was fun.
No, it was a good college basketball game. And you're spot on Rammer and Earl. Their passion and insight, wisdom, incredible. And do a great job of, bringing that on the radio to our fans and just really understand the game. But they love basketball and certainly love SLU basketball. But it was, as you said, a really good college basketball game, two good teams. And I said afterwards, it's that game was kind of a microcosm of our season. Some maddening things, some things that just leave you scratching your head, but incredible resilience, making plays down the stretch, fighting to the buzzer. And these guys have kind of run the gamut. Really proud of them, and great way to finish. I'm so happy for the seniors and that group that they get to leave on a win and head in the postseason.
Yeah, before we look ahead to that postseason in the A-10 tournament, let's talk about those guys, and in particular Gibson Jimerson, who has been around a long time. He owns a lot of records. He was phenomenal last night. I mean, 35 points, 8 rebounds, obviously 50% from three. I mean, I don't know you're going to get a whole lot more than that from anybody, regardless of who they are and where they play on senior night in their last home game.
Yeah, senior night, it can go either way, and sometimes guys get, too emotional. They squeeze too hard, and Gibb he's got such a great equilibrium, such a great balance, so even keeled, and he's been playing his best basketball here at the end. You go back to I think a week before, I think he had tied his career high with 33, and then 20 whatever at Dayton, and then 35 career high. Just fantastic basketball for him down the stretch run, which is what you want to see from your seniors. But he's left such a incredible legacy here that some of his numbers, I don't think in the modern climate of college basketball, I don't think some of the numbers that he's put up will ever be challenged. I really don't.
Man, no, that's a good point.
I mean, it's and he's at the top of the record books. You look at, points or field goals or attempts or threes or minutes or games, or you go through that. I mean, his name dots all over there. And like I said, I'd be shocked if some of those records ever are challenged, particularly his 3-point record. But the biggest thing with his legacy certainly is the loyalty he's shown to St. Louis, the city, to the university itself, to the program. Incredible, because he could have left, could have gone, done something different. And when after last year, when I came in and they made the decision to go a different way, that would really easy for him to abandon ship and say, hey, I'm gonna spend my last year somewhere else, and I'm gonna play for a different coach. I'm gonna do it in a different place. And him coming back is, we're not close to the team that we are without him, and he's done a great job. I said this, this group's laid some really good seeds. I hope we see the bloom next week, but regardless of what happens next week, this group has laid some really good seeds about culture and resilience and how we compete and how we do it together and competing fully in the games. And Gibson's been a massive part of that, and all the good stuff to come. He helped lay that foundation this year.
Don't want to leave out the other seniors either. Obviously, Isaiah and Kobe had really good games last night and doing things in their way, balanced, contributions in a lot of different ways. And, it's got to be nice from your perspective, especially in your first year, to be able to rely on 3 guys. And I should count Robbie. He's not a senior, but Robbie's got that kind of experience, but to be able to rely on guys that have been around a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the game has changed in the college landscape of, it's really hard to have, where you don't see very many freshmen playing significant minutes. I think I saw a stat the other day of, maybe it was a week or two ago, of like top 10 teams in the country. And freshmen that are averaging, I don't know if it was maybe double-digit minutes or 20 minutes a game or something like that. And I think there was 5 total on the top 10 teams,
Wow.
and 3 were on Duke.
Yeah,
So
one of them is going to be the number one pick. Yeah,
Flag, Knuppel, and the big kids. So, 3 lottery picks. But, I think there was 5 total. And so the game's changed to where, it's gotten older. With NIL, players are staying in longer because they can make, more money in college than they can overseas, or in some cases at the higher levels, low NBA contracts. So it's harder for young guys to play. You got to have experience, and that's where, that starting 5 is an experienced group with, up and down the line. And when you have, the other seniors, like you said, Isaiah and Kobe have come in and really in 1 year impacted us in a really significant way. I don't know that there's been a guy, between Isaiah, Robbie, that have, the amount of clutch shots they've made this year and the amount of shots that Isaiah's made and the end of games has been just remarkable. And a credit to, he's just incredibly tough, a great competitor. He's got unbelievable courage and confidence. And so he's done that time and time again. And Kobe, doesn't get the same acclaim as those other guys, but he does so many things that drive winning. And those guys, those 3 seniors, along with Robbie, have kind of had to be an Iron Man group because of all the injuries, adversity, but they've never made excuses. They've never hung their heads. They've never been, woe is me. They've just come to work. They've done whatever we've asked of them, and we've asked them to do a lot. And those guys, like I said, have planted as a group some unbelievable seeds here in year 1. And I think we'll, as a fan base, reap the fruits of those in the years to come.
So as you look ahead this week, obviously the number 5 seed in the A10 going into the A10 tournament, clearly, just continued good health for those guys and staying out of foul trouble would be like right at the top of the list of things you're going to want to have happen. Is there anything else that you'd like to see that would help you guys make a bit of a run in that tournament?
Yes, take better care of the ball. We've had an issue with that, all year. In spurts, it's not been every game, but certainly it's been way too much. We got to do a better job of valuing the basketball. I think that's for us the biggest the biggest flaw we have. That is a controllable one. And yesterday, look, Duquesne leads the league in forcing turnovers, so it's not like they didn't have anything to do with it. They had a large part to do with it. But 18 turnovers, the amount of it's not just the turnovers, because the live ball turnovers, it's those lead to runouts and transition, and you can't guard one-on-one fast breaks. So we have to be better there. If we're gonna really make a run in DC, we've got to tighten up our ability to handle the basketball, pass basketball. We did a lot of good things last night offensively. 21 assists. I thought we generated a lot of good shots, shot unbelievably well from 2, made whatever it was, 11, 12 threes. Made some big time free throws and stuff. But we have to be cleaner handling the basketball. Our margin for error is pretty small. We're not going to be as deep as other teams. We don't play as many guys. We don't have as many guys dressing. But we have enough that if we take care of the ball, we think we're good enough to certainly play with and beat anybody in the A10. And we think we've shown that throughout the regular season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I find it fascinating. I've been doing sports radio, coach, for 30 years. This is probably the first time we've had a chance to talk, because I don't do full-time sports anymore, just kind of part-time here and there while I'm doing afternoon drive here on KMOX. But I'm a baseball guy by my background. I've covered the Blues, covered the NFL, and it's just fascinating how often important runs, whether it's playoff series or just big games, how often the people in charge, like yourself, just go back to the basics. It's always about who can execute the very basic things. In football, they talk a lot about what you did, turnovers, winning the turnover battle. It's not something that really exists in the world of baseball, but there it's as simple as catch it, throw strikes,
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're 100% right. It, the fundamentals of the game, a lot of things in the game change. The fundamentals never do. I think what wins never does. And the key to always, to me, to winning is to eliminate losing. I think you have to always reverse engineer it. It's not about, what's you to win. It's about, it's about not putting yourself in peril. It's taking the luck out of the game. So, whether that's, taking care of the basketball in basketball, I think that's probably the most important thing to eliminating losing. Sprinting and setting your defense every single time. Protect the rim, the line without fouling. Taking great shots. Hunting great offensively. Defensive rebound, not allowing second chance opportunities. There's a lot of things inside of a basketball game that are, in my mind, pretty controllable. That the really good teams do, and what you try to do, like I said, is not focus so much on what you got to do to win, but all the things that you can control that can eliminate losing. And so I think it's the same thing in most sports. You try to control the things you can, because there are random things that happen that you can't control. And you're playing against an opponent, as well, and they're trying to win. And there is randomness. There's bounces. There's referees calls. There's luck involved in all these things. But you can't focus on those things. You got to lock into the controllables. And again, in all sports, I think there's a lot of controllables. And as you get to elimination time, which is where we're at, there's a pressure to make sure that you're playing to your standards at the highest level, because you don't have to worry about, our team's going to be ready to play. It's elimination time. Everybody's turned up, as much as they can be. So now it comes down to your ability to execute and sustain it for as much of the competition as possible.
Well, Coach, I'm glad you guys all had to have as much fun as you did last night, getting the win to wrap up the regular season and celebrating those seniors. Continue that. Good luck in D.C. on Thursday and hopefully beyond that, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. That's Josh Schertz, of course, sponsored by Royal Banks of Missouri. I'm not making any predictions because I don't really want to do that too far in advance. I like to go game by game when it comes to college basketball when you get into the postseason, because you just don't know who's going to be the team that's just caught fire on a given day. But I do like how they set up for the A-10 tournament. I mean, assuming that they can do what Coach said, which is, avoid the things that you're basically blowing yourself up. Like Robbie had 10 turnovers last night. I mean, if you cut that in half, you probably win by 8-10, instead of winning by 2, or maybe you win in regulation instead of having to go to overtime. And that's not put it on him. It's just the point that kind of illustrates what he was talking about, is taking better care of the basketball across the board is the kind of simple thing, because in these short tournament runs, in the early parts, I don't worry that much about teams that are a little light in terms of numbers. 4, 5, 6 guys in an individual game early in a tournament with Monday, Tuesday, and actually Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, just practice, no games. That's not hard. The games, maybe the third, fourth game of the weekend, probably get a little bit harder. So the challenge seems like it would be more once you get past the first, maybe second game, when you're relying on, the Big Four played 44, 45 minutes each last night. And it's not bad. It's a good thing that and I'm sure every player, I know I didn't play basketball very long because I stunk, but everybody wants to play, man. Everybody would play every minute of every game if you let them. And those guys want to be out there, and they're young and they're athletic and they're in great shape and all of that. But if you start stacking games on top of one another, that may be where it gets to be more of a challenge. But I think early on, they're going to be in a pretty good position, certainly favored in the opener for their opener on Thursday, because they're going to be the better seeded team. So we'll look forward to having that. And by the way, that'll be here on KMOX on Thursday as well. So we got a busy week, man. So we've got Cardinals baseball today, 12:05 Cardinals and Yankees. We're going to have the Cardinals on Wednesday, which I believe is also a noon game, if I'm getting that right. And then Thursday we'll have the Billikens. Friday, who knows, man? Friday we have the Cardinals in the evening. That's for sure. That's going to be an evening game on this Friday. And we may have another Billikens game, too, in the middle of all that, depending on what happens on Thursday. So it's going to be a busy sports week here on KMOX, and obviously looking forward to that. I love, again, I'm in a good time of year. There are a lot of times of year that are great. I love this time. I love the fall when you're wrapping up baseball, and hockey and basketball have just started getting going, and football's just getting started. I love that time of year. But, man, this is a good one. This is with March Madness and then leading into the NHL and NBA playoffs, the NFL draft coming up here in, a month? And then, of course, the Cardinals and Major League Baseball 18 days away. Well, that's for the United States. They're going to be opening in Japan, next week, right? Yeah. I forget what the date is, but is it like the 18th or something like that? 17th, 18th, 19th? So they're going to be real baseball games coming up this week. And then, obviously, the week after, actually it's 2 weeks after that, but it's like 18 days from now when we get to our opening day.
Do you think March is the best sports month, or what do you think?
I don't know. It's tough because I don't know. It varies, because I think September's pretty awesome. October's pretty awesome because being a big baseball nerd, the baseball playoffs combined with having the NBA, the NHL, and the NFL and college football all going at the same time, that's pretty sweet too. Like, but this is definitely one of those times. There are quieter times. Midsummer's quieter. January and February are a little quieter when you're in the dog days of the regular season of hockey and basketball, and baseball is still quiet, and there's not much, after the Super Bowl is over, things kind of calm down for a while. There are some quiet times, but other than that, I'm pretty good with all of it, man. When you like all of them, it's not hard to be fired up at some point throughout the course of the year. All right, so many thanks to Josh Schertz again. That was sponsored by Royal Banks of Missouri. We've got Lutz Pfannenstiel coming up a little bit later on. Match 3 for City tonight in Los Angeles against the Galaxy. They're the defending champs, but they're out of the gate kind of crappy. And I was reading some stuff this week that they have some concerns there with injuries and why they're out of the gate slow. So it should be an interesting I almost said game. I almost did it. Interesting match tonight. And by the way, that'll be 6 o'clock on Y98, our sister station later on tonight. We'll have Lutz at 11:15, John Mozeliak at 11:30. We're going to talk about Victor Scott. I'm going to ask about update on Jordan Walker. I also want to, I'm going to maybe drill down a little bit with Mo on evaluation of offense in spring training. In fact, I'll tease more into that coming up next here on Sports on a Sunday Morning.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-431-2715. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-431-2715. 800-431-2715. 800-431-2715.
KMOX Kegs and Eggs, presented by Budweiser, is back and moving to a new home at Cardinals Nation Restaurant in Ballpark Village. Thursday, March 27th from 11 till 2 p.m. All-inclusive single tickets and tables are on sale now and include a delicious brunch buffet, draft beer from Anheuser-Busch products, and select mixed drinks. Celebrate this unofficial holiday with KMOX, Budweiser, Overhead Door Company, St. Louis Composting, and Dirt Cheap. Single tickets are limited. Get yours now at KMOX.com/events.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars. Lose the weight and stop smoking. Early bird specials $49.99. Seminar Sunday, March 16th. Aviator Hotel and Suites, South I-55, St. Louis. Weight loss 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Or Monday, March 17th, 4 Point Church in St. Louis. Fairview Heights. Weight loss 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m.
Hi, I'm Dr. Colleen Bosler, and I'd like to introduce our newest associate, Dr. Adam Voss.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adam Voss, the newest addition to the Audiology Center. I'm very excited to join this amazing team. I'm a St. Louis native, graduated from Washington University School of Medicine, and I'm passionate about hearing healthcare and connecting people back to the things that matter to them most: family, friends, music, or even their favorite British TV drama. At the Audiology Center, we care for our patients like our own family. If you ever need anything, come on by or call us and we will make sure to address questions or issues same day. My ultimate goal as your audiologist is to listen to your individual needs and guide you on your journey to improved hearing. There are a lot of audiologists in town, but only one Audiology Center. We might not know how to change a tire, but we know a thing or two about audiology. And I want our current and future patients to know that you can trust us with your hearing healthcare needs.
Thanks, Dr. Voss. The Audiology Center, 3 locations. Come visit us at theaudiologycenterstl.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
All right, sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. Kevin Wheeler filling in for my buddy Tom Ackerman. Tom is in Jupiter. I think he's got to be in Jupiter by now. He texted us that he landed like 2 hours ago, so he's got to be getting settled in Jupiter. I'm sure he'll be at the game today. You know how it is when you get down there, man. I mean, when you're going down to Jupiter to cover spring training, literally the first thing you do before you check into your house that the station has rented for the month for Tom and Matt to share, or back in the day when it was Tom and I that were sharing it. You don't even go to the house. You go straight to the ballpark. That's just it. You go there straight to the ballpark. You leave your car with all your crap in it in the parking lot, and you just go right to whether it's a game or in my case, I used to go down early. I mean, you go straight to pitchers and catchers reporting, and you get down and all right, pull out the microphone and the recorder, and let's go talk to people before you even go check into your house. You guys got time for that later. It's always fun. The first thing you do is just get out there and get to some baseball. And for Tom, it's going to be Cardinals and Yankees. And we'll have that for you here on KMOX. Pregame will start in about an hour 5. 12:05 is the scheduled first pitch today. Andre Palante's pitching for the Cardinals. And I think it's Carlos Carrasco for the Yankees. The Cardinals with the full, almost everyday, regular opening day lineup. No Jordan Walker. He's still recovering from the minor knee thing, but everybody else has the look of somebody that might be in the opening day lineup. So be fun to see how they look today. And we're going to talk. So I mentioned before the break some of the things I'm going to tee up for Mo today. I definitely want to talk about offense and offensive evaluation, because the Cardinals, it's a fact. You can look it up. The Cardinals aren't scoring a ton of runs. And you can look at some of the traditional stats, and for some guys, they don't look very good. For other guys, they look just fine. But traditional stats are deceiving in small samples, right? They're not deceiving over 6 months. If you hit 250 over 6 months, you're a 250 hitter. Now, there are years where you have good or bad luck, and we can figure that out now pretty easily based on the quality of somebody's contact. So if somebody is regularly hitting the ball hard and they're not just beating the ball into the ground all the time, if they didn't have great numbers, it's probably bad luck. And we actually have the means now to kind of gauge that. It's not a guess. It's pretty easy to figure out using odds, right? So, it's all calculated now where they know that a ball hit at a certain angle at a certain velocity is going to be a hit a certain percentage of the time. And when it's not, that means bad luck in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes you get the opposite, right? You get good luck where you're not hitting the ball very well, but it falls in. And what I think is fascinating, and this is what I do. So I'm not preaching to anybody. I'm telling you what I do when I'm evaluating hitters, either for my fantasy baseball drafts, which I do because I'm a nerd, or I'm doing it for radio shows, or heck, look, I coach teenagers, man. When I'm evaluating them, I'm not looking at their batting average. If a parent comes to me and says, my kid's batting 300, why is he not batting higher in the order? Like, because he's got nothing but bloops and doinks. Like, you're evaluating the quality of contact and the quality of the at-bat. Are you drawing some walks here and there? Are you laying off pitches you're supposed to lay off of? Who are you facing? And I'm not talking about the teenagers now. I'm talking about spring training. Like, are you facing the guy that's going to be in high A to start the year? Or are you facing Max Schertzer? I think there's a lot that goes into evaluating hitters in spring training to where, like, just as an example, I'm going to bring up Victor Scott. Victor Scott has crazy good numbers in spring training. He's hitting 389. He's on base 50% of the time, and he's slugging 722. Like, that's like 100 points better than Albert Pujols at his best, right? Like, but is that real or is that not real? I'm going to go on a limb and say, no, it's not. But it is to a degree because he is hitting the ball hard. Harder than you would think for a guy that's a speed guy first and a contact guy. He's actually doing some really nice things in that regard. Jordan Walker, his numbers haven't been good. His traditional numbers haven't been good. He's 2 for 14 and he's got 8 strikeouts. The 8 strikeouts is bad. That's a problem because that's a sign that he's into that habit that Bernie and I were talking about at the beginning of the hour, where you're chasing pitches you can't do anything with. There's some swing and miss in the zone for him or in the heart of the zone, but it's more chasing pitches above the zone or chasing that low breaking ball away, which is a problem. But on the positive side for Jordan Walker, he's hitting the ball hard all the time. So I think the number was this. I think he's put 7 balls in play, or maybe it's 8. 8 balls in play. 7 of them have been at like 100 miles an hour or more. He's got 7. Those 7 balls in play average more than 100 miles an hour. That's what it is. They average more than 100 miles an hour per. They're not all above that, but they're all 95, 96 plus, and average exit velo in Major League Baseball is 88.5. So he is hitting the ball hard. So while there are negatives, the swing and miss, right, the strikeouts, those are negatives. There's also a little bit of a silver lining there. Where you're like, man, but he's hitting the crap out of the ball. When he hits it, he's hitting it really hard. And that's part of what you have to do. You have to account for, the regular numbers matter to some degree, but what matters more is, are you hitting the ball hard? Are you laying off the pitches you're supposed to lay off? So swing decisions, you hear that's a common phrase in Major League Baseball in modern times. Swing decisions. It's just basically deciding what to swing at. And guys, it's the oldest rule in the book. Ted Williams' number one rule of hitting was get a good pitch to hit. Not do this with your hands or do this with your stride, or no, get a good pitch to hit. Oh no, by the way, his second rules were like hit it hard and hit it in the air. Those if you want to sum up Ted Williams, that's it. Those three things. So swing decisions are going to matter. What they're seeing on the backfields matters in live BPs and things along those lines too. And we're going to talk about that with Mo coming up in about a half an hour here on Sports on a Sunday morning.
99 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been repairing and replacing garage doors for savvy homeowners. Since 1926, they are the only authorized dealer of Overhead Door brand products in the city. Always look for the iconic red ribbon to be sure you're dealing with the genuine, the original Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. For same-day garage door repair 24/7, call Overhead Door Company of St. Louis or schedule online overheaddoorsstlouis.com. That's overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
If it's time to move, then it's time to move up to McKelvey Home. Why McKelvey? Because McKelvey Homes offers prime locations, personal service, and uncompromising quality that endures with attention to craftsmanship and detail. We feature an extensive portfolio of floor plans that meet your expectations with a focus on luxury, functionality, livability, and value. And you can customize your home to your personal desires with our design team. Visit McKelveyHomes.com today and move up to McKelvey.
You might know Graybar for cable and connectivity, but there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialists who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Graybar does that.
I don't know how to ask.
They know what sounds are funny.
Or what smells are funky.
That's right. No one knows their furnace like they do. So go ahead, ask.
Okay. Is your furnace funky?
If it is, then make but one call.
And Jerry Kelly will be there the very next day.
Call anytime, 8 to 8, 8 days a week.
And Jerry Kelly will fix your furnace or install a new one the very next day.
JerryKelly.com. Happy birthday to us. 2 surprises for you. 2 surprises from NordVPN. 2 surprises for you.
Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN. We have a special birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. NordVPN is rated as excellent on PC Mag. Visit NordVPN.com and discover one of the most advanced VPNs in the world. What are the benefits? Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Receive alerts if your email address leaks to the dark web. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro tool. Encrypt your online traffic and browse with more peace of mind. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
KMOX KECK HD2 St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis. This is KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Linda Kenyon.
I hate to predict things like that.
That's President Trump talking about whether he expects a recession. During an interview on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo, the president said his economic policy will be good for America, saying, be patient.
There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time
Tens of thousands of federal workers are losing their jobs through Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. Many say the massive cuts are completely unjustified, including this woman attending a job fair in Virginia.
They are cutting without thought or regard for the actual good work the employee people are doing because they just can.
Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott defends the cuts of the federal workforce.
The President of the United States was elected, all right, by the American people to basically rein in government, rein in this waste, bring some accountability, some transparency, some common sense to government. And that's exactly what Donald Trump is doing.
He was interviewed on CNN. Cracking down on workers at the Department of Homeland Security.
A Department of Homeland Security spokesperson confirmed to CBS News that there are polygraph tests going on right now at the Department of Homeland Security. Now, this is all part of an effort to find what they're calling leakers, people who are letting the media know in advance about these immigration raids that they've been doing across the country.
CBS's Olivia Rinaldi reports the polygraph tests have been going on for the past few weeks. Israeli negotiators are going to Qatar this week to resume talks on the second phase of the Gaza peace plan. CBS's Linda Gradstein has more from Jerusalem.
Arab press reports said there were positive signals in talks with Egyptian and Qatari mediators about starting negotiations on a second phase of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. That phase calls for an end to the war and a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, as well as the release of all 59 remaining hostages, both living in debt.
In the meantime, the situation in Gaza has been growing worse for the civilian population. Israel says it is cutting off its electric supply. While the full effects of that are not yet immediately clear, the territory's desalination plants do receive power from Israel in order to produce drinking water. The announcement comes a week after Israel cut off all supplies of goods to the territory to over 2 million people living in that devastated region. The move also comes as Israel has sought to press Hamas to accept an extension of the first phase of the ceasefire. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 11:03, sunny skies and 51 degrees downtown at the Arch. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagow. Our top story this hour, St. Louis Alderwoman Kara Spencer has received an important endorsement for mayor. Some say it's unprecedented.
St. Louis's Democratic Central Committee has voted to endorse Alderwoman Kara Spencer over incumbent Tishara Jones for mayor. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch says the vote for a potential new mayor is a rare instance of the party not supporting the incumbent. The top party officials from all 14 city wards gathered to vote Saturday. They also voted to endorse incumbent Comptroller Darlene Green against challenger Donna Behringer, who is a former state representative. The general election is set for April 8th. Julie Carpenter, KMOX News.
Missouri's governor predicting a bright future for the state.
During an appearance with Hancock and Kelly on KMOX, Republican Mike Kehoe said there's a spirit of cooperation in Jefferson City, unlike what he saw in previous years. And he pledged to work with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to move the state's interests forward.
We have a lot of diversity in this state. We have incredible river systems, the second, third largest rail system in the United States. Lots of opportunities here, and that's what gives me great hope. Missouri's work ethic is second to none across the country.
Brad Choate, KMOX News.
Time now for our latest spring training report from Jupiter, Florida.
Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker is currently being held out of all baseball activities for about a week after suffering a minor knee injury on Tuesday, resulting in some inflammation. While it's disappointing for him, the Cardinals will have no problem filling the outfield each day as they have a surplus at the position.
We'll keep the same rotation of guys. I mean, as you get further into camp, it's harder to get at bats. So we've had our rotation of Vic, Siani, and Nude, and those guys out there. That won't change.
That's manager Oliver Marmol. Lars Nootbaar, Victor Scott II, Michael Siani, Matt Koperniak, and Michael Hellman are all outfielders who will either be on the roster or are competing for a job. Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson, Jose Barrero, and Jose Fermin are also players in the mix who can play in the outfield. This spring training report is sponsored by St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories, and by Norm's Bargain Barn and Wilkie Window and Door. In Jupiter, Florida, Cardinal Spring Training, Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
Weather today, lots of sunshine this afternoon with a high of 63. Overnight low of 40 tomorrow. We're getting into the 70s for the next few days. 74, then 73, 75. No rain in the forecast to this point, except maybe on Friday into next weekend. We'll keep an eye on that. But warm temperatures for this time of year. Right now, it's 51 degrees in St. Peter's, 53 in Florissant, and we have 53 downtown at the Arch. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
From KMOX Sports.
A 2-2 pitch.
This is the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
And there's a high fly ball. That's hit the deep left field. It might go.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
And it's gone! A slammer for Nolan Arenado.
Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
All right, Kevin Wheeler filling in for Tom today. Tom is in Florida, and he'll be back in this chair, I would assume, next Sunday via remote. Or either that or maybe one of us will be stepping in for him as well. I haven't checked the schedule that far in advance. I don't think that far in advance. I'm day-to-day, man. You tell me what's coming up tomorrow, and I do know what's coming up tomorrow. I'll be doing DGS tomorrow afternoon. Obviously, we got Cardinals baseball 1 hour from now. So the Cardinals and the Yankees at 12:05. We'll catch up with John Mozeliak at 11:30. Then have a quick little segment after that and turn you over to the Cardinals pregame. Looking forward to that one. This is a good one. The Cardinals, as I mentioned earlier, have what resembles an opening day type lineup, with the exception that Jordan Walker's not back in the lineup yet, still nursing the sore knee, but it sounds like he's getting close. I'll ask Mo about that when we get a chance to talk here at 11:30. We'll also talk about evaluating offense in the spring and the balance of game performance, batted ball numbers, live BPs, and how you're looking there. Because those guys, by the way, they get a lot more at-bats on the backfields facing their teammates, facing people in the organization than they do in spring training games. So there's a lot that goes into that. We'll have him lay some of that out. We'll talk some about the rotation. I'm really interested in the bench competition, too. Some interesting guys there, and we'll try to throw as much as we can at Mo. Just put it that way. We may not have time for everything because I've got a list of like 97 things. We'll throw what we can at Mo starting at 11:30. Lutz Pfannenstiel is going to join us here in a few minutes, talk a bit about City and their third match of the season tonight. Couple of ties, draws. I knew it. Dang it. I'm trying so hard to get it right. I'm not going to do that when he's on the air. I'm going to sound like an idiot. A couple of draws so far. They're taking on the Galaxy, the champs, league champs from last year. That'll be 6:00 tonight on Y98. And but the Galaxy off to a bad start. They're not going well. They've had some injuries, some changes. So we'll see what he thinks about the matchup and just kind of get his assessment of the team heading into their third match of the season. Didn't get a lot of time yet to talk a bit about the Blues. Bummer last night. I mean, it's nice to get the point, and I don't want to over-dramatize a loss to the Kings 2-1 in overtime last night. I don't want to over-dramatize that. I mean, it's obviously a game that you want to win when you're looking at trying to, pick up some space in that wild card race. And the reality of it is, I mean, we can all do math. The reality of it is the only spot that's really at play is the number 8 spot, which belongs to Calgary right now at 70 points. Then you've got Vancouver at 69, the Blues at 69. Utah's behind there. I think Utah might be a little too far out. I mean, it's only 3 points, but again, when you're talking about making it up against 4 teams, that complicates it. But we'll throw them in there. And then after that, everybody else is pretty much out of it in the West. But you've got that group of teams. I don't think anybody's catching Minnesota in the 7 spot right now. And they've kind of been going back and forth with Colorado between the 3rd place in the Central Division and that first wild card spot. They got a pretty good advantage. So barring a collapse, probably not in play. But the problem for the Blues as it relates to Calgary and Vancouver is that you're a point behind Calgary. You're tied with Vancouver, but those teams have games in hand on you. So the Blues have played 65 games. Vancouver's only played 62. Calgary's only played 63. It doesn't mean they're going to get points in those games. It just means they have more potential points remaining in a very close race. And the Blues do have the easiest schedule of those 3 teams. So that's good. And, if Parayko hadn't gone down on Friday for the rest of the regular season, I'd feel a lot better because, they have looked better since the Four Nations break ended. I mean, even last night, I know it's a loss, but it's still a good performance on the road. It was your 4th straight road game. You've got 2 more road games on this trip. And it's not terrible to be 2-1-1 in your first 4 on a trip. Getting 5 of a potential 8 points is fine. You're just in a position where, and look, they've gotten points in 9 of their last 10. You're 7-1-2 in your last 10 games. They're in a position to do something, but you're at a disadvantage for a couple of the reasons that I mentioned. But the biggest one is not having Parayko. That's going to be a really hard thing to make up for with, the offense that he's been providing, his stability, his skating ability, which really, I'll be honest, that was something that stood out to me quite a bit in the Four Nations, was his skating ability relative to the other best players in the world. Like, we've always known that. You've always known that it's like one of his strengths. He can push the puck up with his legs, get involved in the rush, use it for defensive purposes in his own zone, whatever. But it really, I thought, stood out in the Four Nations. And that was a tough blow on deadline day to get that news. And, I think Army put it well, and I have to agree with him, that it's just not the time to do something costly. You don't do that to make a push for the 8th spot. I get where, and I honestly, I wouldn't have sold either. I know you're in a tough spot, but I wouldn't have done that either, because I do think that when you have a chance and you've got this opportunity to try to make a run, making the playoffs is better than not in this situation. Because, one, you never know what's going to happen. 8 seeds have beaten 1 seeds before. Doesn't mean it would, but it happens. You get the experience for some of your young guys, which is a good thing to get those playoff game experience. And there's no guarantee that if you finish in the lottery, you're actually going to benefit from it. You might move up a few spots, but you also might be stuck right where you're supposed to be, in which case you're not getting really any benefit from missing out on that playoff spot. And let's not be silly. Making the playoffs does mean a little extra money, and that's a good thing for every hockey team. It's a good thing for every pro sports team, but it's especially good for hockey teams that operate on slightly tighter margins than baseball teams or NFL teams. So hopefully they'll still have that push in them. They don't play again until Thursday, so you got some time to rest up. They'll take on Pittsburgh Thursday in Pittsburgh, and then Minnesota next Saturday in Minnesota. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk a little City SC. They're in L.A. tonight, and they got an interesting matchup against the Galaxy. We'll get the latest on how they're doing on that matchup with sporting director for City SC, Lutz Pfannenstiel, next up here on Sports on a Sunday Morning.
Could you make $500,000 in retirement savings feel like $1 million, or $1 million feel like $2 million? You could. The key is having a comprehensive financial plan for taxes, Social Security, inflation, healthcare, income, and more. Discover how you could make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience. And they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. There's no cost, but bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. If you've saved $300,000 or more for retirement, register by calling 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012. That's 314-947-2012.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house, and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years, Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO, easy to remember phone number, or go online today at 877-25-RHINO.com.
All right, everybody, it's here. The March to Spring Training and Opening Day is officially upon us. Hey, I'm Rob Bradford from Baseballs and Boring, and we'll have you covered every single day with instant reactions to late-breaking signings, determining which players are, yes, truly in the best shape of their lives, and behind-the-scenes stories from all the excitement and intrigue that spring training brings. Follow Baseball Isn't Boring in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you feel like you're going through life clouded by doubt? Talk to California Psychics. Our trusted and accurate psychics are available 24/7. And we guarantee if it's not life-changing, is free. Download the app or connect with us at CaliforniaPsychics.com. Right now, new customers get 80% off their first reading. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN's birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. Visit NordVPN and discover the benefits. Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Encrypt your online traffic. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
And with the privilege of filling in for my buddy Tom Ackerman today, Kevin Wheeler with you here, again, broadcasting to you live from the Stifel Sports Studio. We've got Cardinals baseball coming your way in a little bit. 12:05 for the first pitch between the Cardinals and the Yankees. We'll have John Mozeliak just after 11:30. Right now, though, we're going to turn our attention to City SC. They're in L.A. to take on the Galaxy tonight. You can catch that on Y98 tonight. And to talk a bit about that match and also just kind of how things are going here in the beginning part of year 3, we've got Lutz Pfannenstiel, sporting director for City SC. First of all, Lutz, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you doing this. Also, my first time getting a chance to talk to you. I've been listening to you for a long time, but not doing sports full time anymore. I haven't had a chance to talk to you, so thanks for doing this, man. It's nice to catch up.
Yeah, great to talk to you. We just actually on a walk, with the team on Manhattan Beach, just to get prepared after breakfast for the game. So, yeah, we are looking forward to the game today.
That sounds like a nice thing. We have a pretty nice day here, but I bet it's a little nicer out there.
Probably a bit warmer here, but yeah, I don't think there's that much difference.
So we're really early into this third season for you guys. Any early impressions? I mean, there are obviously some really good things going on because nobody's able to generate much offense against you guys, and I know that the obvious goal will be to score more goals and to be creating more offense. How do you assess the first couple, and how do you weigh the first couple of the games early in the season compared to where you want the team to be down the road?
Yeah, I think, it can look pretty general at the moment. It's very early days. Having a new coaching staff with Olaf Melberg, it takes a bit of time, which is very normal, and we're very happy to give him that time. But I believe that you saw already lots of positives. To be honest, the game last week, having a 0-0 away to San Diego is one of these moments when you believe, well, it's an expansion team. Maybe it's not a great result, but they won again yesterday away to Salt Lake. They won before against LA Galaxy. So that kind of puts it into a little bit in a better perspective that it was a good game for us with a good result at least. And yeah, I mean, the obvious is obviously we need to score some goals. There's no doubt about it. We created enough chances against Colorado in the opening game. We just didn't score. And against San Diego, it was a different kind of game where defense was, I think, very strong, but we didn't create enough going forward. And I think that's today a big opportunity against LA Galaxy, which has their own trouble, I would call it, to come here and be confident and walk here with a good result.
It's fascinating. The defending champs, from what I've been paying attention to, from what I've been reading here the last few days, beat up a little bit. Some injuries. They're not really off to the greatest of starts. And we all know, I've covered sports for 30 years, Lutz. You've been around it your entire life. Everything seems like it makes sense until it doesn't. So, only the game, only the match is going to tell us what we need to know about tonight. But it is an opportunity for you guys.
Yeah, I would always put it this way. I mean, they struggle at the moment, but they have a lot of quality. So it doesn't really tell us a lot what happened in the last 2-3 weeks. That's in the past. You can't change the past. They can't change the past. But we just have to come here and play our game. We know what their weakness is. We know what their strength is at the moment. As you mentioned, there's a big number of players are out. So we get them for us in the perfect moment. Do they still have enough quality to beat any team in the league? Of course they do. So it's up to us to play our own game. We shouldn't really be too concerned what's good and what's bad on the LA side and just focus on our strengths. And I believe that's the best way of going into an away game anyway. Especially, let's be honest, they are the current champions. They are the MLS Cup champions from 2024, and that's always a tough game to beat them away from home.
But it's also a good way to test yourself. You know, I think that's the other interesting part, especially early in the season, where you can find out more about yourself going up against somebody that's used to winning. And look, you guys have had plenty of success in your own right. You know what it's like to be on the side of the team that's winning more often than not. But I think these early season, we've been struggling with this, talking about, we're not even in the regular season yet, Lutz, for the baseball season. We're just in spring training, and people are worried about performances and things. But early in any long season is as much about learning as it is about results, although results matter first.
Of course, it's always about, in professional sport, you are results driven. You know, there is nothing really you can buy yourself for if you have a great performance and walk away with nothing. And people don't really care. Sometimes you have a bad performance and you're getting a win in the last minute, and nobody was really happy in that moment. But on the long term, on Monday, nobody talks about it anymore. It's just really what's under the dotted line, what you see on the table. And I think that's the takeaway we have to have. You not always have to play the most beautiful football to be successful, because we got bitten last year. We played some great games in the start where you thought it was a perfect team performance, and we still lost it. So I rather take an ugly one once in a while and walk away with a win.
You mentioned, obviously, there's been a bit of a transition over the last calendar year. You started that transition in season last year, and it's continuing here early. But you also have the stabilizer in Roman Bürki, who is fun to watch. He's obviously phenomenal. I mean, given your background, you know the importance of having a keeper that just keeps everybody stable.
Yeah, by a mile, the best goalkeeper in the league. You know, I mean, he's our captain. He's the face of the franchise. He's just a player who always performs, who's a role model every day in training, where the youngsters really can look up to him and see just simply the way he appears every day, the way also he looks after his body, the way he looks after himself. It's just the way, I would say, how it should be. And yeah, having the first 2 games, 2 clean sheets, I think is great. He didn't have that much to do like in the last years early on. So we hope we keep it this weekend as well like that. But yeah, Roman is definitely, I would say, that the golden egg we pulled out when we started this team.
It's always nice to have that, right? It's always nice to have that I would say the cornerstone, right? The rock that you can build around.
Yeah, it's just a difference maker, you know, and you know exactly what you get. It's just not just that he's stable. He's a born winner. He can make the difference, and he actually can. A goalkeeper like him, he probably gets you 10, 12 points a season, which is exactly what makes the difference of being a playoff team and missing the playoffs.
No, that's a really great point. And I know, you know, there are some sports, some professional sports that are more about individual matchups, others that are about, you know, unity and teams functioning as a unit. Certainly soccer functions that way, hockey functions that way, football functions that way, American football. And I find that to be such a fun part about this particular sport, is the way that everything has to play off of one another, regardless of what's happening in the moment. It's not much. There are moments of individualism, but it's not much about an individual doing individual things as opposed to the group knowing what they're supposed to be doing all at once.
Yeah, I think this is one of our strengths, especially in year one, that we didn't have, the super big names, like you said, the individual superstars who believe they're the best thing since sliced bread. That doesn't really work that well, especially in a team sport. And soccer is a pure team sport. We all know that. I think soccer is a game where you not just need 11 players on the field, but you need another 5, 6, 7, 8 who are on the bench, who know exactly what their place is to come on, to really melt in immediately. And yeah, I don't believe in that typical idea of having 2, 3 outstanding players on massive contracts, and the rest are simply there just to fill in the places. I think you need to have a solid squad, you need to have a deep squad, and that keeps you going over years and not just on a very, very short term.
You know, that's fascinating. It's an interesting philosophy because, again, we have that debate a lot in our sports world, the debate about star-loaded teams that are kind of top-heavy versus the balance. So where did that get drilled into you? At what point was it in your playing career or your post-playing career where you started to kind of understand or believe that was the way to go?
I just go to Florida and talk about Miami here. Obviously, if you have a player like Lionel Messi, which is probably the best player of all times, of course, that has a massive impact on everything. But I think we also need to look into our market and the way St. Louis is built, the way St. Louis likes their sports teams to be, where I think hard work and being modest, being down to earth and really get out there and grind it out is much more liked and much more welcome than just being a little bit of a show pony and look good. I don't think this is what the crowd in St. Louis really want. So I believe going out there and build a strong core where you have young players added on, local players added on, it's something where I think the people in St. Louis can reflect much more to and enjoy much more than just having these one or two really big names who have no kind of connection to the city and no connection to the people, who basically do their bit of business on a Saturday and go back home. I think there is much more to football than looking at it from this perspective. St. Louis is such a strong soccer city, such a big culture when it comes to the history of it, that I think we can build a much bigger thing than just based everything on one or two big names, which are obviously not lasting forever. And it's about the legacy. It's about what the Taylor family also believe in, what the values are for our ownership. And I think that is what my job is very clearly to fulfill that more on the sporting side, but to get exactly build that legacy, which not just lasts when I'm here or when the current players are here, but for another 10, 20, 30, hopefully hundreds of years.
Well, you guys have already made such a massive impact on the community, and it's a community that already loved the sport. It's even more on display since you guys got working here a couple of years ago, and we really do appreciate the work you're doing. Good luck tonight out in LA, and enjoy the time out there. Come away with a couple of points, and we'll look forward to talking again soon.
Thank you very much.
You've got it. That's Lutz Pfannenstiel, the sporting director for City SC. And again, 6 o'clock tonight against the LA Galaxy. That'll be on Y98, our sister station. That's fascinating. I love talking about the philosophy of building teams, right? And it's interesting. I'm listening to him talk about, a balanced team where everybody contributes. That sounds like the Blues Stanley Cup team, right? Not that Alex Pietrangelo wasn't a star or that there weren't stars. Roman Berkey's a star. But I'm always interested in roster construction where you have teams. Now you've got unicorns like the Dodgers that can do both, right? They've got all these superstars and they've got a balanced team with a lot of contributors. But a lot of teams make the choice between those two philosophies. And actually, a lot of the Cardinals teams in recent years have been a lot like that. Although, not always. I mean, you had Albert and guys like that too. But Albert was a guy that played like those grinders as opposed to the guys that Lutz was describing there. All right, speaking of the Cardinals, man, we've got baseball at 12:05. Cardinals and the Yankees down in Jupiter. We're going to talk to John Mozeliak next here on Sports on a Sunday Morning.
KMOX Weekend at your service, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
With the new year, it's time to make sure you have the best vision for 2024. That means scheduling your annual eye exam with Ophthalmology Associates. Call 314-966-5000.
What's happening in the world of politics? Find out from the guys who know the game best, Hancock and Kelly.
I love getting to spend time talking politics and life in St. Louis with my pal John Hancock, one of the most politically misguided people I know.
Well, we may disagree about a few things, but it'll be good radio.
Find out what's happening in the world of politics and everything else with Hancock and Kelly.
We like spending time with all of you right here on KMOX.
Friday mornings beginning at 8:30.
No doubt about it.
Only on KMOX.
It's Girl Scout cookie time. Look at any box of Girl Scout cookies and you'll see it's more than a sweet treat. It's an important part of my story.
With your support, I get to
be a leader,
express myself,
and make our communities brighter.
You get cookies, I get confidence. That's what I call a win-win.
Find a booth near you at girlscoutsem.org/cookies.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need a law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, Onder Law has been winning for St. Louis. With over $5 billion in negotiated settlements and over $300 million in verdicts, Onder wins. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row, Onder wins. Whether it's settlements, verdicts, or awards, Onder wins. If you've been hurt in a car accident, trucking accident, or hurt on the job, Onder Law will get you the money you deserve. At Onder Law, winning is what we do. So when the stakes are high, Onder wins. Call us today for a free consultation. We don't get paid unless we win for you. Dial 314 or 6189-MILLION. That's 314 or 6189, then all zeros. Or visit us online at onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Schedule your free tree inspection from Gamma Tree Experts now. I'm Tim Gamma. Our certified arborist and horticulturist are ready to meet you in preparation of the coming season. Winter is always hard on a lot of trees here in St. Louis. If you have a tree that you're really concerned about, let us come take a look at it for free. I'm Tim Gamma. Give me a call at 725-6159. That's 314-725-6159. Your trees deserve the best care from Gamma Tree Experts.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
He turns on a pitch, and it goes over the bag down the right field line. Win round second. He's going to third. Scott goes into second, cruising, and Victor Scott continues to swing a hot bat. 2 hits on the day.
There you go, our buddy Mike Claiborne with the play-by-play there. A little highlight from Victor Scott from here from the spring. So far, putting up a good show. I guess I shouldn't make that judgment. I should ask the question of John Mozeliak about the show that Victor Scott is putting on down there. First of all, Mo, good to talk to you. I'm sorry that you got to talk to me instead of Tom, but it is what it is today.
Quite all right. Nice to hear from you, Kevin.
How's everything going down there?
So far, so good. It's been a good camp. Obviously, the most important thing is get work in, try to stay healthy. But obviously, we're trying to take a real hard look at some of these younger guys and really get an understanding of what we might be able to expect from them this season.
With 18 days until opening day, obviously just a little bit more than 2 weeks of games left down there in the Grapefruit League. This is kind of where it gets, I don't want to say gets real, right, Mo? But, I mean, this is where those young guys you're referring to, whether it's Victor Scott or maybe even J.J. Weatherholt, depending on how much longer he sticks around, where they get to see more just regular major leaguers, because the further we go, the fewer younger guys they're going to be in camp.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. That first week and a half of games, a lot of times by the 5th, 6th inning, you're starting to see some jerseys with no names on the back. And so that's definitely guys that, represent opportunities at the minor league level. But as we get closer to opening day, starting pitchers go deeper, and then trying to find those innings for relievers becomes a little more challenging. So you're right in the terms of the type of arms you're going to see moving forward. And it is good exposure for somebody like a JJ. It's his first major league camp. Mm-hmm. He's opened up a lot of eyes. He's a really impressive young man. Obviously, I don't anticipate him making our team, but it's still a great exposure for him and a great learning experience.
So we played the highlight from Victor Scott. We've been talking about him a lot, and he's got the pretty regular counting numbers that jump off the page, and I know that's one small part of the evaluation process of any hitter down in spring training because of the reasons we mentioned. You don't always know who you're facing. You got good luck, bad luck. We do have some batted ball data, but it's small sample. So talk a bit about. I guess we can shoehorn Victor into this, but talk a bit about that evaluation process between when you're balancing results in games, batted ball numbers, what you're seeing in live BPs, what you're seeing in other situations. How do you guys put all of that together for a young guy like Victor Scott?
Yeah, good question. And, obviously we consume a lot of information from a lot of different areas. So you have in-game data, you have backfield data, you have batting cage data, and all of that definitely gets put into our calculus as far as like how things are progressing. And I think in Victor's case, there's a couple things to me that stand out. One is I think from a defensive standpoint, working with John Jay, he's cleaned up a few things, and I think utilizing that speed is only going to make him more of a plus defender moving forward. And then from an offensive standpoint, he just looks a lot more comfortable at the plate. I think last year his in zone, out of zone, swing rate was not where you wanted it to be. So he just seems a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more comfortable. Needless to say, he is putting up some good offensive numbers at this point. But net, I think when you are looking at him, whether it's in the cage, backfield, or in a game, he does look like a more confident hitter this year.
It's interesting, right? Because it seems like he's hitting the ball quite a bit harder. And I know, again, small sample that we have access to. You guys have access to more. But that can be related to what you're talking about, that swing decisions and getting after the right ones. And we've noted on our various shows, Gas House Gang or whatever, that a lot of young guys have that, whether it's Victor or Jordan Walker or even Mason Wynn to a degree, that swing decisions really do come into play when it comes to producing.
Without a doubt. It's one of those things where making smart decisions really dictates the type of at bat you're going to have and ultimately the type of numbers you're going to put up. And I think last year, a lot of our younger players were really pressing because we did play a lot of tight games. And so everybody was like trying to probably do more than they should. And usually the first thing to go is poor decision-making at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in Victor's case, again, just looks more comfortable, looks like he knows what he's doing from a strategic standpoint, and that part's encouraging.
Mo, do we have anything new at all on Jordan Walker, or is it still kind of the same, not that big of a thing, but we're just kind of waiting a few more days?
He has been cleared for baseball activities in terms of in-game. I think hopefully by middle to end of this week, He's back playing. So overall, I feel pretty encouraged at where he's at.
How about the bench? You have such a fascinating group of players to kind of, and I know some of it's going to be decided based on who wins various starting jobs, who will kind of assert themselves. Victor asserting himself could impact how that bench is constructed, of course, but you've got an interesting group of players. You've got a power bat. Obviously, you're going to have a backup catcher. You've got a couple of infielders, and those guys swing the bat well. So JC's been swinging it well. And then you've got versatile athletic guys like Barrero and Hellman.
Yeah, so that was a mouthful.
I'm sorry. I do that.
I do feel like it's an interesting competition because you mentioned a couple of people that maybe we weren't thinking about 2 months ago. But somebody like Barrero has been, really kind of exciting player to watch, and he just gives you so much flexibility. And so, I think the focus right now internally on him is like, can we trust the bat? Can we, have a belief and confidence in that? But, just from an overall athleticism standpoint and flexibility standpoint, I mean, he'd be a great Swiss Army knife to have on our club if possible. So that part's going to be fun to watch. And, obviously you think about somebody like a Lucan Baker, and he's put up really good numbers at the minor league level, specifically at AAA. But the question is how could we utilize that? And obviously he'd be a great guy to have off the bench, face a left-hand pitcher, spell somebody at first base from time to time. So, there are a lot of moving parts here. And I think, the next couple of weeks, it's going to be fun to see how these things shake out.
It's interesting, isn't it? That the bench construction has a lot of things that go into it. You can use it to play platoon advantages, as you mentioned, with a guy like Lucan to get more offense. You can use some of those spots for guys that can play 3, 4, 5 positions. And I guess ideally you have a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, the more flexibility you can have with your bench is really the most important. And the other thing you want to think about is you just don't want to have some young player that's sitting on the bench. I've cited Matt Adams many times on this show in the sense of when he was coming up, we were always looking for that left-handed bat, and everybody always just wanted to be Matt Adams. But when you're a young player and you're still developing, the worst thing you can do is get 5 or 6 at bats in a week when if you were down in Memphis getting 30. And so development still has to be at the back of our mind as we think through some of these decisions. But, ultimately some of these guys that have had the success at the minor league level, at some point they deserve a shot up here.
Mo, on the pitching side, kind of back to that same idea with the bench that we just talked about, but in the bullpen, feel like there are a lot of guys with unique looks that are slightly different from others, a lot of options to sort through outside of maybe your top 4 or 5 guys that seem to be pretty well, barring injury, pretty well set up. How do you like to play that? I mean, over the course of the year, are you looking for different looks? And maybe if I'm asking too much, then just shoot me down. You know how to do that. But a lot of guys with interesting looks and different characteristics to choose from.
Yeah, I think, again, the theme on the bullpen is going to be trying to create as much flexibility as possible. And as you know, throughout the course of the season, you definitely need more than 13 pitchers. That I-55 corridor is open quite a bit. And so I think as we look at this, it's going to be trying to make sure we can maintain as much depth as possible. In other words, really don't want to have to release anybody, really don't want to have to make a difficult decision if someone's out of options early. I think that the best thing for us to do is try to make sure we have that depth. And even if there's some way to even add to that between now and opening day, it's something that we still should consider.
How about the rotation? And we'll close on this, Mo. I mean, I'm knocking on wood as I speak, but so far the guys that are planned to be there have been pitching and taking their turns. You've gotten Mike McGreevy continuing to show well. Obviously, other young pitchers in camp showed well. Is that basically just going as planned at the moment, knocking on wood?
Yes. I would say the two guys that have really stood out that maybe weren't being considered for the rotation that are definitely make some more difficult decisions. You mentioned McGreevy, and I'd say the other one's been Libator. So both throwing the ball really well, and so we'll have to see how that plays out. But you'd rather that kind of math than the other way. So, net, we feel pretty good about that.
Libator's such an interesting case because, he's still very young, and he always was rated as a very high-end starting pitching prospect. And sometimes you get a false start early on when you're a young guy. I know you guys are still weighing this, and some of this will be determined in the next couple of weeks and maybe over the course of the regular season. But it's a hard thing to choose, isn't it, between what a guy's good at now and what he might end up being good at down the road?
Well, I still am in the camp of, he's a really talented player, and I think he's going to end up being a very successful starting pitcher in the big leagues. He is unique because I think he could do either bullpen or start and be successful. But I think the one thing that you have to recognize is he came in tremendous shape. He came in prepared. He's taking his fitness and preparation to a whole new level. So these are things that, a year ago we weren't seeing, and now we are. And so it's very encouraging. And like I said, it's a good problem to have right now.
Well, yeah, every team's finding that out. Ask the Yankees. They've just lost one starting pitcher for 3 or 4 months and another we don't know. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point to make. All right, Mo, well, good luck with everything. Hope everything stays smooth. Again, knocking on wood, you don't have any real problems between now and opening day, and we'll look forward to catching up with you when you guys get back to town.
All right, sounds great.
You got it. John Mozeliak with us here on Sports on a Sunday morning. The Libator thing is super interesting because, I know that the early returns on him starting at the major league level weren't great, but he certainly wouldn't be the first young pitcher that doesn't handle that well initially, but then figure some things out and then gets back into that. And the upside of him as a starter is really phenomenal. But then again, that also creates an interesting question in the bullpen. How does that impact your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning situation, right? How does that impact how you set up for Ryan Helsley? So it's a little bit of a battle, but starters are more valuable than 1-inning relievers, man. I'll be interested. I don't know how I want to look at it yet, but I'm interested that Mo is interested. I guess is the way that I'd put that. All right, we got a little more baseball talk here. Well, just a brief thing about today's game, and then we're going to turn you over to the broadcast booth, man. We got Cardinals baseball at 12:05 as soon as we wrap it up here on Sports on a Sunday morning.
My best friend Jimmy came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broke and it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because they're open till 8. JerryKelly.com. They'll be here quick and have you feeling good. JerryKelly.com. Because your furnace will be running like it should. They're certified technicians, I've been told. Will help you when it's hot and help you when it's cold. JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. JerryKelly.com.
The Dave Glover Show.
Anytime you choose the DGS, you're choosing us over like 10,000 other things.
It's challenging, free thinking, topical, and fun.
But I think what's even more important is to stay real and to stay honest and relatable because people go, I feel you. I understand.
The Dave Glover Show.
Real people having real conversations with each other.
Weekdays beginning at 1 on News Radio 1120 KMOX. Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
All right, pinch hitting for Tom as he's just made his way down to Jupiter today to continue our coverage. I'm Kevin Wheeler, and we've got Cardinals baseball coming your way in just a few minutes. That'll be the Cardinals and the Yankees starting at the top of the hour. Yeah, I mentioned there's some worry about Garrett Cole now. That's why I didn't want to ask Mo to talk about other teams. But, you think about the depth that he was referring to and having a lot of options. Other teams that thought they had enough pitching are finding out that maybe not. Right. I mean, the Yankees lost Luis Gil already. And he's down till at least June, I think, maybe July. And then Garrett Cole, we have no idea. He's having elbow problems again. And last year, he had a nerve problem in his elbow that cost him more than half the season. And if this is worse, if this requires surgery, I don't know if it's the same thing or not. They're waiting for their second opinion results. But that puts them in a position where they're down two big arms, and they don't have much behind that. Now, the Cardinals have questions, right? I mean, there are questions in the rotation. There's question about how's Miles going to pitch after struggling in the last 2 years. How's Steven Matt's going to pitch, and is he going to stay healthy? I mean, those are valid questions. But that's why I was interested in the answer about Matthew Liberatore, because if you want Liberatore to start, he kind of has to start. It's really tough to say open the year as a 1 or 2 inning guy, and then mid-season, I guess you could do the Palante thing, right? You could do mid-season, go down to Memphis, but now you're short a high-end arm, both in the bullpen and in the rotation. So I'm really fascinated by the enthusiasm there for Liberatore as a starter, and I'm not confused by it. I don't think that that's a bad thing. I mean, he's young enough still where a lot of guys haven't even made their major league debuts yet at Liberatore's age. So it's not like, this is some 28-year-old guy that you're trying to take a flyer on. And that is an interesting kind of balance because McGreevy's been really good. He finished well last year. He's been good this year. So you've got two of those guys. Who knows, man? Hey, look, I didn't want to bring this up with Mo because he can't comment about it anyway. I would have just gotten I can't talk about other things. But, it wouldn't shock me at all if a team like the Yankees calls about a guy like Eric Fetty. Wouldn't shock me at all. Especially if Cole's going to miss time, where there aren't really any impact free agents out there as starting pitchers, and you might be able to get a decent return because of their desperation. Well, if you're thinking about it and you say, all right, well, you've got the stability of the other veterans, and you've got McGreevy pushing, and you've got their enthusiasm for Matthew Liberatore, who's looked really good in the spring. Maybe that does open you up to think about a move between now and opening day for, because this was the talk that we had a lot on the Gas House Gang during the winter, was making the deals then versus waiting and seeing, whether it's waiting through the spring or waiting until July. And that balance between the risk of somebody getting hurt or underperforming, but the potential benefit of getting someone that's in a more desperate situation. So, again, who knows? Maybe. I mean, I mentioned Fetty just because he's the guy that teams would probably ask most about. That doesn't mean there wouldn't be interest in someone like Steven Matz at a different level, of course. I mean, it's not going to be asking for the same return or anything like that. But that's part of why that Liberatore thing interests me, because it's going to be really hard to shoehorn it all together. If you really want to see him as a starter, do you open with him in Memphis? That's an interesting question. I don't know that that's where he benefits the organization most. But, I mean, again, you never know. But if you like him as a starter, and there may be a way to create that opportunity here by moving someone in your veteran group. And I'm not talking about Sonny Gray. You need him to stick around if you're going to be competitive. And obviously you got 2 years of control on him anyway. With Fetty having just 1 year of control, you never know. Because the Yankees are in, man. They're trying to win right now. And if they're desperate, you might get something that they weren't willing to give up during the winter. Fascinating. This is why I like sports. You always got moving and shaking and things happening and things we got to keep an eye on. And we always have games, too. In fact, we've got a game coming your way here in just a couple of minutes. The Cardinals and the Yankees. It'll be Andre Palante for the Cardinals. It'll be Carlos Carrasco for the Yankees. And that's right here on your home for the Cards, KMOX.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broke and it's already